I don't want to say like, yeah, but yeah, I was successful right off the bat. I was reaching out to people. I was building my email list. I was going out to events. I was doing everything in the playbook. And so it got my first 10 clients in a month. I kind of had to take a step back and say, how do I want to be communicated to? How do I want somebody to speak to me? And then become that. That's the biggest way to increase your effective communication. How do you want to be spoken to in business? How do you want clients to come to you? Do you want them to be like, hi, what's your price? No, I have a really hard time hiring people. My thought process is, it's going to take me longer to train you and to teach you how to do it. So I'm just going to do it myself.
Right.
You actually can't do it better yourself. And it would have saved you so much more money hiring somebody else. But at the beginning, it's hard. I think more people need to talk about the fact that social media and marketing are not the same, right? And I make sure, I say, it's marketing. You should just know, you should just figure it out, and it's not.
And lately I've been going to like the public library. That's almost like, it's the public library that's attached to a high school. It feels very like nostalgic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, older people, like go there, like adults and work.
Quiet.
And it's quiet, and like it's been like the last 2 days was obviously March break, so like, there are no kids. So it's been like I've been able to do a lot more than usually.
Cool.
So
I've never tried going to a public library. I felt like I didn't go to a library as a kid, so I'm like, do I want to go to a library?
Yeah, I didn't either. Like I don't think I went twice when I was in high school.
Yeah, no, I never went to a library.
But like after, but it feels nice. It feels like, oh, I should have been a smart kid and come to the library.
Interesting. I love that.
So you were born in Colombia, right?
Yeah, I was born in Colombia.
How old were you when you came to Canada?
I was 6.
Or were you Canada, right?
Yeah, I was 6. Yeah, I was 6 when I came here.
Yeah, and so you still fluent in Spanish?
Yeah, I speak Spanish. Yeah, I speak fluent. I speak it at home, like with my dad, my grandma. I basically I feel like I've been in Canada my whole life. I've been here for 20 years, but I haven't lost my Spanish, so it's pretty cool.
Great. Like my family moved from Mexico when I was 8.
Okay.
So like I'm fluent in everything. I mean, I've done business in Mexico and stuff, so like, it helped keep it going. But my sister, she arrived when I was like 14, and I feel like she has worse Spanish and worse English than me. And it's just like
maybe because it was like both.
I don't know. It was just around that age or what. And she doesn't speak, like she lives like up north. She doesn't speak as much with like my family. And stuff. So it's not as easy for her. But yeah, it's kind of weird. How did you feel? Like, do you still feel Colombian? Like, how is that? Because I definitely don't feel either. Like, I feel like
it's so weird because it's weird because I don't, when people ask me about Colombia, I'm like, I don't really know because I haven't been there. And I was
pretty young.
Yeah, and I mean, I did go back when I was 18, but I went back to like renew my passport and just do like stuff that you do when you go back home. So it's like, I'm not really like culturally immersed. I want to be though, that I like realized we went to this Vallenato concert with my dad. I listen to Spanish music here and there, but our culture's so rich, right? And if we don't take advantage of it, that's where I was like, I saw these Colombian people and I'm like, wow, like our culture and our community is so dope. Why don't I, why am I not tapping into our community as much? So yeah, I feel very, I mean, I don't know what I feel. I'm like, am I Canadian? Like, what am I here?
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when do you start school? Like in grade 1 would be, how old are you? Like 7?
I started, so I think when I came, I don't remember a lot, but when I came to Canada, we went to like an English school, like learn English school thing, and my dad was going to an adult school. So like there was just kind of like, I think I remember like we were getting taken care of there or something like that. So we were learning. So I was 6 and I started SK in grade 6 or 7. So like senior kindergarten. So I started grade 1 late when I was like, I think 7 or 8. I think that transition, I started grade 1 later because I was coming from, I had no English. Right. Like I didn't speak it. So I just remember like drawing clouds and stars in the sky, like in senior kindergarten. Yeah. So yeah, so it would have been like grade 1. I would have started in like grade 8. I mean, I was 8, yeah.
No, I mean, I went until 3rd grade. So like, I feel a lot in Mexico. So I feel a lot more, well, I think it was 9 years then.
Yeah.
It was 3rd grade. I feel like a lot, I experienced the culture a lot more, right?
Yeah,
so
nice.
I was actually in school, like friends, and I got to experience going to a Mexican school and going to Canadian school. And it's been so different. Kids been a lot softer. I got a lot of trouble.
Here.
Yeah. And I honestly don't remember when I learned English. I remember making some friends and not being able to communicate with them, and then English. So it's kind of wild how fast kids can switch over.
I remember not being able to communicate with my teacher, and there was like, my sister was in grade 5 and there was some guy in grade 8 who spoke Spanish as well. So they would come and help my teacher, like help me speak to them to speak to my teacher. And then I don't remember anything after that. Like, it's like, that was my, here you go, I just learned English and we're done here.
How did you get into the business?
So it's so funny because I tell people, I'm like, I feel like I've been in business my whole life, or I've been preparing for this my whole life, which is so weird to say, but I feel like I never really had the idea that I was gonna be I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I was older. Like, I didn't have I wanna be a doctor or a teacher. Like, I knew there were some things that I wanted to be, but I didn't know. But regardless, I still felt like I was gonna be in business. So I've always been like a creative and a communicator. And I think that's where I realized like my skill sets were actually in creating content, or like filming, like documenting. Like, I love videotaping everything. I was just really good at like seeing somebody and telling them, look like this, move like this, say something like this. So there was previous businesses that I did before having the social media business. That was like in digital marketing and my dance company as well. So I was very familiar with promoting and talking online. I'm a very social person. I love speaking and communicating with everybody. So I think it just kind of like, I fell into it. And so I quit my bartending job in 2019, I think, or 2020. I'm so bad with dates now. But I quit my job and I was just kind of like, what do I do? Like, I hired a coach and we just kind of broke down all the things that I was like really good at. Like, what do I enjoy doing and what do I not enjoy doing? I knew that I didn't want to be confined to somebody telling me what to do. Not really good at that. I knew that I wanted to use like my skills and I wanted to be creative, but I'm not like, I don't draw. I can draw a stick person. I'm not really inclined in like colors, but I can speak. So my coach that day kind of like walked me through, asked me some questions, and then we just started. I say we because I wouldn't have been able to do it without her, like just kind of guiding me. And that was when I also started my relationship with God. So it was like, I knew that I didn't want to go backwards into things that I was already doing. Like, it was so easy to go and get a bartending job. It was easy to do all these other things, but I knew like what I'm going to do next is going to be it and it's going to work.
Were you successful right off the bat?
I don't want to say like, but I was successful right off the bat. And I wasn't surprised. I know that sounds kind of cocky, but I wasn't surprised that I was going to be successful right off the bat because I had a mentor. I hired a coach on purpose. I was like, I can't do this on my own. And I was making sure I was doing everything that I had to do. Number one, I was praying about it. Number two, I was like hustling. Like, I was reaching out to people. I was building my email list. I was going out to events. I was doing everything in the playbook. And so it was just a matter of time. But because I had already known people and I was confident that I could deliver it, I got my first 10 clients in a month. And I think success looks different to everybody. So I think when I say, yes, I was successful right off the bat, it looked for me that I just received a response, right? Success to people may be like money, freedom. Yes, I made money right off the bat. I mean, enough to make my investment back to my coach. Yes, I had, starting to build my testimonials and reviews. But I think the successful part was that I just received a response. Like, someone said yes.
Right.
I got no's.
I had the idea.
And
somebody actually like, this is valuable enough to hire you.
Exactly. So that to me was like the definition of success. Like, I put in the work, I promoted it, and somebody was like, oh, I want to hire her. That to me was like, so yeah, I would say successful off the bat, but now I'm just like, I think I grew really quickly. Like, growing really quickly sometimes sucks.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, because sometimes either by force, like you want to grow quickly, or clients come and you grow quickly, but you're not ready. I feel like there is a progression, even if you go to school and you have like a master's in business, that it doesn't teach you much. But you're not ready, you don't know what to do, and you will make a lot of mistakes if you slow down. I know that I've tried to grow a lot faster than I was ready for, and it falls apart. I'm like, wow, what's going on? And then maybe like months later, I realized, oh, this didn't line up because of my knowledge, because of where I was in the business. And this is the worst answer for everybody. But like, patience is like the most important thing, especially in business, because if you're not getting paid, if things aren't successful, it's usually on you, because you're either not experienced enough, you don't have the tools, something. Because I mean, a lot of stuff can happen over there, but you can't do anything about what is happening outside, right?
I think when you were saying like patience, but also when I first started my business, it was like success loves speed. Like just do things quickly, get money fast, build the clients, deliver it quickly. Like when I launched my business, people knew me as like, as soon as we would film, you would get your content. Like I was just working in a really fast pace, which is great. Clients love that. We love Amazon Prime. We got used to the instant gratification. We love that, but it wasn't sustainable for me. And so I love that I was known as that. I loved that I could deliver that to my clients. And yes, success does love speed. So I was doing everything fast, efficient, but then I was burning out and then I couldn't deliver. So I was going all of these. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like even right now, it's still a lot of that, but it just looks a little different. So, right, I feel like I grew really quickly. I didn't really have systems in place. There was things that I knew how to do as a creative, but I never put the business owner hat on and said, oh, hey, accounting, oh, systems, oh, if you're gonna work with clients that are paying you 4 or 5 figures, they expect emails, they expect follow-ups, they expect all these things that I was like, oh, I just have to press record on my iPhone and then edit and deliver. Because that was the creative in me, right? Yeah. And so I think there was a lot of, as much as I grew so quick, I won't say I fell, but I would stay. So I would grow and then I would stay, and then I would grow and then I would stay. And like, not that that's a bad thing, but in my heart, I was like, I just want to grow. Like, I just want to be successful. I was chasing after this idea of what success should look like and feel like I think I was like 23, 24. So it was like, yeah, this is great. Like I'm young. I'm doing a lot of things that people my age aren't doing. At the time, content creation wasn't really a big thing. So I really felt like I started things. Like, I don't want to say like, I started content creation, because I definitely didn't, but I felt like I started a path and I wanted to be, like, I just wanted to be it. And that, I think, played a little bit of a role as to why I kept just like slumping, I
think it was feeding a little bit into your ego.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I didn't realize that then. So like I can be self-aware now to be like, I had an ego, but like
at that age, you're still young. Like,
yeah, and I had an ego, but it was like, I didn't actually think it was harmful until it was. Until being like, oh, I have so many clients, I'm so sought out for. Okay, so what? Like you have all these clients, but you haven't slept and you're not eating well and you're not taking care of yourself. But I have so many clients, but I'm getting paid, but I'm using all that money to pay for vitamins and supplements because I'm sick, So it's like, I didn't really feel like it was an ego thing until I like look back and I'm like, wow, like all this was really feeding my ego and being like, you're good, you're great, you're great. And then it would kind of like conflict with my relationship with God, being like, okay, well, if you're putting your business here and I'm back down here, then you don't really love me the way you do. So that was kind of like checking me a little bit in that process.
I think I like that you brought that up, the faith. I think getting closer and learning more about, Christianity and religion has helped me in business, because it's so funny how it comes all the way back. Even like the Testaments, the ego is a sin, but why? And you start putting, well, because it holds you back here. It doesn't help you do this. I think the biggest teacher, obviously other than experience, but for me, aside from any kind of business courses or anything I've taken, has been, translating the teachings into a business.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised, like all these coaches and all these gurus, they all reference the Bible. So Thinking into Results, Bob Proctor, Maxwell Maltz, all of these are principles, Brené Brown, like I'm seeing all these books. If you're looking at it, they all go back down to the Bible, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that scripture is like everywhere, because what do you idolize? And that's where business, like the lines get blurred in money, in success, in titles, in accolades, because if that's what makes you, then essentially like as soon as the success, the money, the business is taken over, who are you? And so that's where like I started realizing, even when I was bartending, I wasn't building my relationship with God as much then. But I realized I'm like, the money's great in bartending, but if that's all you're about, then it's like, what's your soul? Like, who are you? And all the books and kind of like the personal development that I was reading, at the end of the day, it came back down to like, you have to have a bigger purpose, why, and like how you treat people, respect. Again, all goes back down to like foundational principles of the Bible and of religion and whatever people follow. Like, it just goes back down to respect.
So who do you help? Who do you help in your business?
So I feel like I have like 3 audiences now. At the beginning, it was just 1. I was really focused on helping business owners from small size to large scales. Actually, at the beginning, it was just small business owners. I just said, hey, listen, everyone's struggling. At the beginning of the pandemic, no one knew how to navigate social media. Nobody knew how to create content. And I feel like I could post something and sell it. I mean, I was selling other people's products. So at the beginning, I was just helping small business owners. Then it kind of navigated to being like, okay, I'm helping real estate agents, brokers, mortgage agents, financial experts, coaches, lawyers, doctors, you name it. I was getting those individuals saying, hey, I'm a high-level entrepreneur. I'm doing 10 different things, and social media is the most important to me because that's how I get all my clients, but I don't have time. So that became my target audience. Then I kind of shifted, or at the same time, I was getting hired by influencers because I also have experience in the influencing space. And they're like, I need to create more content with brands so that more brands hire me. Right. And for them, they're making money. Like, they're making great money with influencing. So for them, they could budget and allocate to pay me to create all their content that they just had to show up. So that's kind of where the VIP days came. And now I'm getting a lot of, which is an honor. I love being a mentor. I'm getting a lot of people that want to start either social media agencies or become content creators. I have a lot of photographers and videographers that are kind of like, everyone wants reels. Everyone wants like these Instagram things, but I don't know how to do it. So I've kind of shifted into that mentorship, which is so beautiful. And then I also kind of have a few corporate clients that need me to come in and like speak to their social media team and just kind of like support them in their strategies and in their management, right? So it's like, it's almost like shifted, but I still do all of that, which is where my hands are kind of full of being like, I love the creation, I love the direction, I love the consulting, and I'm just trying to find like the lane that is best for me mentally, physically, financially, and that just like honestly fulfills me the most, I guess.
What do you enjoy doing the most?
I don't know. I love it all. Like, I love, like, I'm not gonna lie, you probably can attest to this. Editing sucks. Sometimes people hate editing. I didn't like it at the beginning, and then I got good at it. I was like, oh, I love editing, but it consumes so much of my time. Like, imagine sitting there editing like a 15-minute video and everybody's making like mistakes, right? Like, it's like, you're like, okay. So I loved editing at the beginning, but I realized that wasn't an income-producing activity. Somebody else, I could replace that characteristic. I love creative directing. I love being on set. I love making my clients feel confident. They feel like supported. I can guide them in what they're saying. They love that. But I also love the consulting. I love working with corporate clients, especially when they have a large team and they're all trying to fulfill the same goal, but nobody wants to listen to each other. So they like to bring an external person. I could just see how teams can come together. But yeah, like I have a soft spot for mentoring. Like, I love being able to help people like from the ground up, not making money, wanting to do something they're passionate about, not knowing how to navigate it. So I feel like I love pouring back into people in whatever capacity. That's what fulfills me.
How would you say you help clients? Like, if you had to sum it up, what's the biggest issues that they have, and how you help? It would be the communication. I think that's what I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I think I help them get their time back. I help my clients get their time back. If they want to show up on social media authentically and confidently, they know to call me and hire me, because I'm gonna take all the things that they struggle with or don't feel confident, or maybe it's not even that they don't feel confident, they just don't have the time for. And then we take that off. I say we, as in I'm still just a one-man show, but you know, in Jesus' name, I will have a team. But I say that because the most beautiful part of it is being able to see my clients say, I don't have to worry about my content for the next month or 90 days because you just did all that. So all I have to worry about is either posting it or we got our team to post it, whatever it is. But all I have to do is do the other income generating activities for me. So I help them get their time back, but also in their confidence. A lot of people are confident, they just need somebody to bring it out. They just need to understand that their brand is valuable. They need somebody to affirm them that what they're saying is valuable and encourage them to show up authentically. So I know I help my clients do that because they are all unique in their own ways. They're so authentic, they're so organic and joyful, but it takes the right person to bring that out. And I think when you're comfortable with somebody and you show up that way, like that's me through and through. This is Sofia. You get on the internet in person all the time. Because I'm able to show up like that, it gives them the freedom to show up like that as well.
Well, I only have experience up to a certain size of business. So let's say up to 10 million or maybe 20 million. Mm-hmm. I feel like the owners still, the biggest issue that they have is doing jobs that are taking too much time that they should delegate.
Yeah.
Right? So even they're terrible at management. And that's all their headaches, and they're always stressing about management because they're not really good at management, and that's the whole thing that takes their whole mindset. And they could hire a good manager.
Yeah.
Like you said, social media or like some sort of marketing channel. They're doing that, but they don't know. It takes so much time. That's not what they're good at. They could do that. I feel like that's the biggest pain point in most business owners to a certain level. Because I don't know if in corporate level, like that's the same pain point, but that's what I feel like, people doing things that they should just hire somebody that's the expert.
And I mean, as a business owner, I'm struggling with that. I have a really hard time hiring people. My thought process is, it's gonna take me longer to train you and to teach you how to do it. So I'm just gonna do it myself.
Right.
And that's the mindset
for all of these.
And that's what's costing me the most amount of money. That's what costs you, because you're gonna say, oh, well, I'm just gonna buy a camera. And then I can do the content myself. The camera is what, like $2,500 to $3,000. So I'm gonna set it up. Oh, then I buy a tripod, then I buy a mic. Oh, but then I have to turn on the mic. Mm-hmm. I can do it myself. I can figure it out. Until they realize that you actually can't do it better yourself. And it would have saved you so much more money hiring somebody else. But at the beginning, it's hard. It's hard to trust, and it's hard to find somebody that can do things in excellence, because I think as business owners, we have an expectation of how we can do it ourselves. And I can transparently say, like, my hardest, I'm hard-headed, but I think I'm also stubborn in saying, like, I forget how long it took me to get here. I forget that I didn't just learn how to be a content creator overnight. And so I need to hold the same amount of grace for somebody I'm bringing on. But I'm not gonna lie, my expectation is if I hire you, you're ready.
Right.
It's like expecting a baby to come out and being like, I can walk. Like,
what do you want me to do, Mom?
Yeah, like, okay, ready, like, boom. And it's like, that is not what happens at birth. So why do we expect that from grown up adults that are just learning about your business? Like, I'm having a really hard time, and I talk about it all the time on my social media, and a lot of business owners relate to that. They're like, oh, you're going through that? Well, that's something that I'm going through as well in hiring a social media person. So it's very relatable.
Yeah, I think I've seen that, exactly what you're explaining in my business and in my mom's business. She does international recruitment. Nice. I kind of help out, and she hires people and places them, and she has experience. So I get to see a little more other businesses, and the feeling of, I'm gonna hire you and you should know how to do your job.
Yeah.
Especially in marketing, I feel like when people hire somebody internally, let's say in marketing, in agencies, you should know what you're doing and tell the client what to do. But when they hire somebody in marketing, the person thinks, okay, I just hired you. What do we do now?
Yeah.
Well, you barely wrote a job description of, like, what are the duties, what goals you want me to accomplish. Like, all that's supposed to be coming from the management, not from the person you just hired, in all levels, right? And I feel like the biggest error that I've done when in my staff that I've done is not give enough direction. Any error is because of my lack of communication.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hiring somebody and not breaking, and it's a pain in the ass, because you have to do that. You have to sit and think and, like, okay, what do I have to communicate? How do you do this? And what do they do next? And write it all down or train it in person. And yeah, I don't know where I was going.
No, it's so true. And I think even when clients hire me, or even when clients hire you, I think more people need to talk about the fact that social media and marketing are not the same, right? Creating a video, and I mean no disrespect to videographers, but being a videographer and having a social media strategy to use that video is not the same. marketing encompasses everything.
Right.
Marketing is like, if you're hiring somebody for marketing, I feel like that's like newspaper, billboards, ads, Google, YouTube, social media. Like, it has layers, but you can't just expect to say, oh, I'm hiring you for social media, but can you do an email blast for me? Yeah. Like, it's not the same thing.
How about SEO?
How about SEO? How about Google? And I think it places such a, and same with VAs. It's like, I'm hiring a virtual assistant and I'm gonna expect her to be a content creator.
Right.
No, that's not. Or a closer. Hey, can you close some sales for me? And it's like, and it's same thing when some people hire me as a social media strategist or content creator, and they ask me to manage and post their social media. I'm not a social media manager, and a content creator is different from a content strategist, and it's different from a social media manager. And a lot of people don't talk about that. They just expect, well, it's one and the same. And I make sure, I say, it's marketing. You should just know, you should just figure it out. And it's not. Because marketing encompasses, it's like the umbrella, and then there's all these layers a part of an umbrella, and all these things work together to create this. And that's where I want to drill it into people's heads, because when I say I'm a marketing strategist, I can tell you how to build your digital products. I can tell you how to build your personal brand. I can also tell you what's needed for your email blast and content creation and SEO and all these layers, but I'm not doing that for you. Like, I'm not the SEO expert. Like, I'm not going to go and implement the SEO, but I can build out a marketing strategy for you. It's a little bit different, right? So it's like, I think we have to lay our expectations correctly, which I've learned now from multiple mistakes of, like, you're right. All the problems that happen are because we don't communicate accordingly, and we don't lay down, like, here are my expectations of you. Are you able to do this? Yes or no? And if not, maybe you're not the right fit. Or if yes, maybe we can, how can we support you? Something like that.
And you know what I think it is? Marketing as a whole is so new to smaller businesses. It's always been like a big corporation thing, right?
Yeah.
But now with social media, with internet, marketing became accessible to all businesses. So I don't think anybody understands this stuff. This is not something that you start your own business and because it is, like you said, it's such a big thing, marketing, positioning, pricing. How is a videographer supposed to know about pricing? And like what to set your pricing for your product? Like, that's a whole thing, right? Or copywriting. So I don't think people know, because it is such a brand new thing in the marketing, accessible to business owners at a certain level. So it is, if we're in this market, I think it is up to us to communicate, kind of teach and set expectations from the start. And because I've suffered so much with why don't you do this? Well, I didn't communicate in the beginning, and me being frustrated with the client. Yeah. Like, well, what do you expect? Like, you know what you're paying me? You're paying me for this, and then and I get frustrated.
It's so funny you say that.
And I'm not intense, but like, I'm not so sociable. I think that's one of my faults in business. I'm not the most sociable. Like, I guess the way I grew up, I moved around too much. Like, just the way I wasn't socialized when I was a child. Like, a lot of stuff made me to be not super sociable. Or that's wrong. Like, I'm sociable.
I would just say, like,
I'm not good at being a social butterfly. I'm good one-on-one. And I know it's a skill. It needs to be developed. I don't think you're born and you're stuck that way. You can develop a skill. But so that frustrates me when they're like, well, why don't you know this? And it always comes back to me realizing, come on, dummy. It's because you didn't set the expectations. Did you communicate what was laid out? What was the contract? You didn't. So why don't you shut up and be nice and...
Yeah, and sometimes we just need to listen. Like, I think I've had to do a lot of work on myself as a person and realize that if I want to be a sustainable business owner, I'm gonna have to be a better listener. And that's what a leader is. A leader is a great listener, and usually 9 times out of 10, your team or your clients will be a reflection of what you, like, if you can be a great listener, you can get anybody to do anything, because you've already listened to their wants, their needs, what they require, how they want to be supported. So now it's just up to me to deliver. And then I can then say, oh, did I hear this correctly? Is this what you expected from me? Okay, perfect, here's my take. And then when you can teach people how to treat you, because I'll be a great listener, I expect you to be a great listener as well, because I showed you that level of respect. I heard you, and now here's like, it's kind of just like a little circle. Like it's like a little circle of life. So I'm still learning that though. Like people, if somebody's gonna watch this, they're like, I don't know, she's not that great of a listener. I said I'm working on it.
And yeah, I mean, if you're listening to a client and like you said, they tell you what they're looking for, what the problems are, then you can see, oh, I can actually help these people.
Yeah.
Because why just take the client if you're that desperate in money? Like you won't be able to deliver. You'll get yourself in a situation where you won't deliver, and then you're kind of screwed.
Even worse, yeah.
So you can communicate like, oh, maybe, you know what, I can refer you this. Like, I help in this area. I don't know, I can't really help you there.
Yeah, and that's you know, and for you to be a strong business owner, you have to pick and choose where you're gonna stand. I've had clients come and ask me like, hey, can you do a wedding? And at the beginning I was like, no. But if I had said yes, one, I would have taken their money. And that's where like, it's integrity. I'm not gonna tell you I can copyright if I'm gonna use ChatGPT. That's integrity. You're not a copywriter if you use ChatGPT. I'm not gonna say to somebody, oh yeah, like I'm a wedding videographer and I'm gonna use my iPhone. Because they expect a wedding videographer. It's integrity. I'm not gonna say I'm a graphic designer when I know how to whip things up on Canva. Integrity. So I think again, if you wanna have a sustainable business, you need to say, this is where I'm 150% confident that I can deliver, and where I can't, you should have like a resource hub of like, oh, you know what? I know Alex. He does this very well. I may not be, but I can vouch for this person. And that's where you can become a stronger person and a stronger business owner and saying, these are my boundaries. I could do it, but I just know it's gonna cause me a headache. Maybe I could do copywriting and I'm gonna use ChatGPT. But it's not worth my stress, and it's not, when you do things that you don't actually do 100%, you begin to resent them.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've said yes to some projects and I'm like, why did I tell this person I could do this? Because now I'm resenting it because I don't love the way it turned out, because I'm not actually good at this. So it comes back down to be like, oh, I'm not gonna do this project at all. But then the client's waiting for delivery. And it goes back down to you accepting it from the beginning, knowing that you were never gonna be able to deliver in the first place.
What do you think is one of the, because you are such a great communicator, like I see it, like that's something.
That is the funniest thing though. I don't consider myself a great communicator.
Well, okay, there's checks and balances. Like,
yeah.
I'm over here, you're over here.
Yeah.
That way. So what do you think is a simple way, like not fix, but like a simple way to be better at communicating?
Yeah, so, and I'll tell you why I don't consider myself a great communicator. I think my whole life, and you come from a Latin household, so I've heard one way of communication, and it's yelling, or it's like arguing, or what now the term that everyone uses is gaslighting, right? Like that's all I've known of being like, oh, you don't do this, oh, you don't do that, or why haven't you done that? Like that's have just been my trajectory of life. And I think the biggest lesson that taught me was my relationships with men. I relate everything to that. Like everything that I've learned has been because of my past learned from experiences in relationships, because I never liked how I was spoken to, and I spoke in one way, and then I realized like, I don't actually want to be spoken to this way. Like, I don't like this form of communication because we're unhappy, because nobody walks out with happy at the end of the day. And so I kind of had to take a step back and say, how do I want to be communicated to? How do I want somebody to speak to me? And then become that. That's the biggest way to increase your effective communication. That's like a tangible way that I could say, like, you have to ask yourself, how do you want to be spoken to in business? How do you want clients to come to you? Do you want them to be like, hi, what's your price? No. My clients in my DMs know that they send me I usually get paragraphs and voice notes, because I've taught people to do that. I've taught them to come to me not with like, hey, what's your price? With like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I need your help. This is the date, can you support me? And here's my budget. Or send me the email to sign. Like, people speak to me that way because I speak. When I want to hire for a service, okay, sometimes, depends when I'm in a rush, I'll be like, hey, what's your price? But usually I'll be like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is what I need your support in. Is this something you can help me with? That's my expectation in communication, and same thing in relationships and people. Like, you have to understand that how you teach people how to treat them, and you're a reflection of how people respect you around you. So another thing would be like, listen to how other people communicate. I love like people watching, and like, it's weird. Like you said, like, I'm like, I don't know if this is something I want to say on air, but I've gone to coffee shops and I just listen to other people's conversations. And I'm like, that sounds kind of weird. Like, I don't know, I don't really love that way of speaking, or wow, like I love how she said that. And so, I mean, I have mentors and coaches and I listen to podcasts. Those are some other tangible things, but you're gonna realize like how you want to communicate, and then what's like, oh, this is not my thing. And then you become that first, and then watch everything else around you match up to that.
I feel like you are very good with your stories. I feel like I consume a lot of different stuff to see like the strategies and what's helping. And I feel like you have the best story strategy, or
like stories on Instagram stories? Instagram, okay, got you.
Than anybody I've ever seen.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Is that one of your biggest converters, or like your biggest like consumers?
Yes, yeah. Instagram is my #1 platform for conversions. Email being #2, because I have a really big email database, but Instagram stories are the underdog. Like, people don't see how important it is to use. Reels are great. I always say I use them both, right? I'm gonna be doing an Instagram stories challenge and a Reels challenge again. I do them very often. And the purpose of that is because people need to use their stories for 3 different things, right? For visibility. So who are you? What do you do on a daily basis? Just getting to know you. For conversions, so purchasing your stuff or purchasing other people's stuff, just end up like whatever the $ is. And then #3, community. Like, that's how you build, right? So whenever I say, when you go to my profile or when I go to your profile, the first thing I do before I look in your reels and in your bio, I tap the little button, because I want to know, oh, what are you doing this morning? Right. Are you with a client? Are you like, that's how I find out things about people. And that to me allows me to say, I want to be a part of this person's life. I'm going to buy into whatever product they're selling. I love when people take me on a story ride. So I've said, I want to take people, I want to bring you into my life. My reels are only going to show you a percentage of what I'm doing, who I am, and how to work with me. But my stories are where every single day, mostly every single day, you can see me doing my devotional in my Bible in the morning, getting a source of inspiration, going to the gym, coming home with my hair all messed up, seeing who I am really, like this is put together. Then you see me being put together, you see my workspace, you see my family, you see strategies, I share case studies, whatever the case is, all of that for 24 hours. So what it does is it increases the sense of curiosity for people of being like, what are you doing? I don't want to miss out. But also it's like, you brought me in, and people comment like crazy. Like, I have a burn on my forehead right now from my trip, and nobody asked me how the trip was. They asked me about my burn. And it's just this sense, I can't explain it. It's a sense of community. It's this sense of you feel like you're in it with me. We're not alone. And I just love how much people trust me as well from my story. So yes, people buy. I will post whatever, and people are gonna be like, oh, I want that. But it's because we've already built, we've built that know, like, trust factor. I build it every single day. Like, it's not like, oh, just one day. It's every single day, because there's new people coming on your page every single day. So that's who you're nurturing.
You think that's like not the easiest, but the simplest advice you could give to somebody in business? Like, use your stories, because it's your phone. You can just, a little POV behind the scenes of whatever you're doing, something that they want to do and start implementing. Would that be it?
Well, I think business, different than social media, because my advice in business would be totally different. Social media though, like with Instagram, I would say just document everything. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I even brought my tripod. I didn't even set it up.
Yeah.
I brought it. take it out, like take your tripod everywhere. You set it up, you do it behind the scenes. Why? Because you want to take people along, and you can document anything without being weird, without being like, oh my God, I'm gonna go and record this right now. Like, no, like take your phone out, capture what's happening in the moment, and then put your phone down. People are like, oh, but I want to be in the present moment. You could still be in the present moment, take out your phone, film 4 or 5 seconds and put it away, and then have it for later.
Right.
And so I think people just look too deep into it. Like just take the phone out and document. And that's how you get people, even if you can't hire a content creator and you can't pay a budget for content creation, start filming everything.
How do you implement your faith in business? Like for me, sometimes it's difficult on like separating the two, right? Because you're kind of building a personal brand, I would say, on your social. And like you said, you take them along in your life, and part of your life is faith. I struggle with letting people doing that, the personal brand. But I also don't want to be fake and keep it off my business. Like, how do you see it like mixing?
Here's the thing, right? It's so easy to say my personal brand and my professional brand. For me, it's the same thing. Professional is personal and your personal is professional. Because when you hire me and when you're speaking to me, you're not just speaking to me, or you don't get me as just a business owner. You don't get me as just Sofia the strategist. You get me as Sofia, a God-fearing woman. You get me as the woman who's going to, if you're upset, which is 9 out of 10, my clients are going through something on a content day, I don't just shut off like Jesus. Yes, maybe if you don't believe in God, I'm not gonna go and push things to you, but I'm still compassionate. My values still stand the same. So your personal brand needs to reflect who you are. And it depends how much you wanna show. For me, I'm nothing without God. For me, I only know my business because I know God has a plan and a purpose for me. And so anything that I do brings glory and honor back to Him. And to be honest, I don't want a business that doesn't have Jesus in the center. I don't want a business where I have to like kind of hide my Bible from the strategy. Not all my clients are Christian, and I don't expect them to be. Not all of them believe in God, or they have different religions and faith. But I do know that it's important for me to show that, because when you have values and when you stand for something, it talks a lot about who you are as a person. When you stand for nothing, I always say, you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. If you don't have a value system, if I'm not able to see past the money, the cars, the clothes, like what do you have? And so I always tell people, showcase your values. If it's your family, showcase your family. If it's the 5 a.m. morning that you wake up and put a lemon water in your drink because that's important to you, or maybe it's the Bible you read. And for me, I much rather buy off of a person who has similar values as me or connects with their faith, because I can trust you. And it's not a gimmick. It's not like, oh, because she believes in God, I can trust her. It's, that when you invest in me, this is good soil. And we talk about, like, I steward people's businesses. Like when somebody pays me, when they pay an invoice, I pray over that business. I say, and I don't tell them, I'm not gonna be like, okay, let's pray. Some of my clients want me to pray for them, but I will pray over that invoice. I'm like, God, like whatever they stewarded here, and when they put their business and their money into me, I pray that you put it back into them tenfold, because you don't understand what that person could have been their last investment. And so I want people to know that when you invest here and when you work with me, this is for real. And sometimes people love it. Sometimes people stay at my friends or stay, hiring me forever. And sometimes you're like, okay, cool. And that's it. And I make sure that every single day, like I said, my business is nothing without God. I'm nothing without God. And so to stand here and create videos and create content and succeed the way I'm succeeding without giving the glory back to God is backwards, because what you see hasn't been made by me. I am a vessel that God uses, but it isn't something I could ever do on my own. And if you feel like you could do on your own, that's the problem.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I want to wrap it right.
Yeah.
Because I can't say anything
yeah.
about that. So let's end.
Yeah, thank you. Cool.